Hi, Bonnie. How's it going?
Hello.
It looks like we have a group of folks here already.
Mm.
So I can do some general housekeeping and then I'll let you take it away if that works for you.
Okay. And should I already have my screen shared or just wait?
Nope, you can wait.
Okay.
Perfect. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today for free help. My name is Jasmine Knighton. I'm one of the optimizers here at Vine Skills. I help folks get launched into Filevine as well as FVDA, and I help to bring you all free help every Wednesday with the help of my amazing colleagues like Bonnie, who will be going over some amazing tips and tricks today. Before I let her take over and introduce herself and jump in, I'll just do a few housekeeping items. Here at Vine Skills, we are a partner to Filevine. So they sell the product, we help to implement it. We do all things Filevine and Filevine related products. So lead docket, Periscope, FVDA, the whole nine. If you all are interested in getting optimization in any of those services or launching in any of those services, we can definitely help with that. I'm going to be putting some helpful links to our website in the chat so that you all can access that. As some of you know, we record these free help sessions every week. So this will be on our website, usually by the end of the week. You can also check out our website for any upcoming sessions. We won't have free help next week because of the holiday, but we'll be back the following week. So feel free to join us for that. If you all have any questions during this kind of webinar, feel free to use the Q&A feature. We'll answer those in real time. Bonnie, I think that that's all for me. Oh, one last thing. If you do decide that you want to engage in any of our services, you can reach out to Bonnie and myself. I will put our emails in the chat. It's just our first name at vineskills.com, but you can feel free to reach out to us and we can get you connected to the right folks. That was the last thing. Bonnie, feel free to take it from there.
Yeah. Thanks, Jasmine. As Jasmine mentioned, my name is Bonnie Robinson there on the screen with Vine Skills, and I have a law firm background, several years as a paralegal, and then several years as a Filevine administrator. So I've been in the Filevine universe for almost six years, and I'm happy to and excited to share some tips and tricks around feed management and best practices, as well as task management and best practices, and also look into calendaring a little bit. So let me share my screen and we will get started. All right. So as you can see, when I first log into Filevine, we all land on our feed page. Some of us may know that this is configurable, so you can have users can change up their configuration of their icons, but best practice is to leave that feed as your landing page so that you will see it first thing when you log in, and it will kind of force you to see what's going on daily with your cases. So in the feed, how do you even see these things, right? So when you are subscribed to a case, that is when you see all the notifications from all the cases or all the matters that you're working. So you really want to be thoughtful about who is subscribed to a case. A case manager or an attorney, those are the ones that you're going to want to be subscribed to a case. Every firm is different. But for example, if you have an attorney who's supervising 300 cases and they're subscribed to all of them, their feed is going to become very unmanageable, very out of sorts very quickly. And then that will lead to not managing it at all, not looking at it, not wanting to see what's going on in it. Because as a reminder, you will get reminders in your feed along with tasks that are populated, automatic tasks or individually created tasks that are created on a file, text messages to and from your clients, phone call entries that are logged on those cases that you're subscribed to, faxes that are coming in, and documents from your mailroom, as well as emails. Messages, if you're utilizing the client portal, will also populate into the feed, and as well as notes that are made on the files. So this is, as you can see, all these lovely filters give us the ability to narrow down these items in the feed to help us manage it. But again, best practice is going to be very thoughtful, your firm to be very thoughtful about who is actually subscribed to a case, and who's responsible for managing all those items that are coming into a file. And definitely a good practice for a firm is to set some standards within your firm, non-negotiables about keeping up with your feed, especially for those who are managing a caseload who are going to have a very overwhelming feed. At minimum, I would say that you're looking at your feed every day, every morning, and every before you end the day. But ideally, you're looking at it throughout the day as well. In between files, you're coming back to your feed to clean it up. And so I do want to kind of just go through some of these filters and show you what you can do. So we can, as you can see right here, I have all of my items showing for all of the files that I'm working, and the list can go on, and the more files you work, the longer this feed will be. But if I wanted to narrow it down, I see I have a text message from the client, so I can quickly click on text and it's going to pull me into that one text message. And then I can see here, oh, there's been a response. See the little number 1 right there, that there's been one response from Kurt, and he's responded, letting me know that he does not have a driver's license. It was revoked because I had requested via text that he send me a copy of his driver's license. So this is a quick way to be able to either respond right here to my client, or I can go into the case itself and respond from the case. But I could respond right here and just say, thank you for letting me know. And once I reply, close that out. It's now left my feed. So that was one way to clear an item off of my feed, by just handling it right there, right then. But I may want to use some other filters to narrow down some of my items. Here are my emails that have been received in. These have documents attached to them. I may want to go into that file and do some other items, some other tasks, maybe some other data entry based on some of the documents that I received. You can also narrow it down by any of these filters on the left-hand side. Here are my reminders. Here are my tasks. One call out I do want to make about tasks, because we will be moving into the tasks icon next. Marking it got it in the feed does not remove it from your tasks icon, and it's not going to be marking it complete. So just kind of that call out. If I come over and I just hit got it, yes, it left my feed, but I'm still responsible for that item, and it still will live in my tasks icon. So kind of just navigating across the top of this header, I do want to call out like the visibility inside the feed. This is helpful too. So as you can see, the visibility that I'm looking at right now is the larger, more expansive visibility. I can narrow that down, and it's going to just kind of condense the individual look of each of those items, but it's also going to allow me to see more on one page. Now, the list view has some interesting functionality. Yes, it's more condensed, the tasks themselves, or if I just go to my all, I can see my reminder icons, my tasks icons, and also my email icons. But it's also going to give me the ability to see if there are attachments to those items, which is very helpful. So if I know that these two emails, sometimes emails have attachments, sometimes they do not. This does give us the visibility to see attachments. And then we have the lovely check mark along the side if I want to just mark, got it. Maybe I don't need to see that item. I know what it's about.
And whatever filtering that you do here, as far as those 3 items Bonnie mentioned, carries through. So when you open up a project, it'll be the same view. You don't have to change it. And this is a sticky filter.
Nice, thank you. Yep, sticky filters, love sticky filters. And these are user preferences. So if you change something for your user login, it's not going to affect anyone else's visibility of their feed, or if they're inside the client case, it's not going to change their visibility. This is user specific. And then we do have some additional filter options here that I really like. So if you can come in, and as you can see, it's this little tiny filter here. It almost looks like a little tornado to me. So this little filter option here, you can come in, and again, we're working off of the feed, off of that master feed is what I like to call this. It is an activity feed, but because we have feeds, activity feeds inside client projects, I always kind of reference this one as my master feed, because it's got all of the items that I'm responsible for, and all of those cases that I'm subscribed to. So inside our little tornado filter, you can see that you can also narrow down by activity type. This list is going to mimic this list on the left-hand side here. It's just another way to get to those filter options. So if you wanted to narrow it down here, you could. But what I also like is, and again, because when you have a very long feed, you may want to just see one case. You want to see all the items that are for one case. So maybe I wanted to come in and just see the items for one file. I can apply that filter and narrow it down and see only the items for that one file, that one case, that one matter. So it may be that I just select Kurt's file right there and apply that filter. Now I see I have this particular email, and I have 3 tasks. Lovely, it's been narrowed down, it's more manageable. I can also clear those filters, and going right back to that filter option, I'm just going to show you the other ones. You can narrow it down by who items are assigned to, assigned by, created by, completed by. If you have items that you pin to your feed, that's another useful tool. To pin an item it's always going to be at the top of your feed. So if it's something that's very important, a best practice is to go ahead and pin that. Maybe it's a scheduling order, maybe it's a trial that's coming up, and you don't want that item to leave the top of your feed. You can always pin it, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. That way, it always stays at the top of your feed. When you're looking at tasks, you can come in and look at complete and incomplete tasks. When you are subscribed to a file and you're managing a case, you're going to see tasks that aren't just not only populating to you, your to-do items, but also other individuals' to-do items. Maybe you have some support staff on a case. You're going to see their tasks as well. So it might be a beneficial feature for you to come in. I've seen many team members use this and go ahead and filter by complete, and then they'll take a quick look. And if it's something that they don't need to lay eyes on or give a response to, they will clear those off with a quick got it, got it, got it, got it along the side so that they can clean up their feed and get those items out of their visibility. You can also arrange it by due date, so due on or after a specific date or on or before, and the same with the created date on or after or on or before. And then if your firm is utilizing hashtags, that's a great way to filter as well. I always think of hashtags for filtering, sorting, and reporting. So definitely if your team is using hashtags, you can use that as a filter option as well. All right, so and I wanted to show you how to pin an item. So I'm just going to quickly click into, I'm going to do this task right here. And so all I did was click in the little kind of open space to the right and it opened up this flyout panel for me. And in this little ellipsis here, I can come down and I can pin this to the project itself. I can pin it to my feed. I can copy this link. I can share this with someone. I can add time details, and I can also add to a sidebar conversation. But I'm going to pin this to my feed so that it stays at the top of my feed. But because this is an important task, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pin it also to the project. So when I go into Jimi Hendrix project, it's also going to be pinned to the top of that activity feed.
Then one thing to note about pinning to the project is an admin only permission. So if you're like, I'm not seeing
Yes.
that option, it's likely just your settings and permissions. The other thing about pinning to your feed is if you have access to a project that you're not subscribed to, but you want to follow up on something, you
Mhm.
can pin that item to your feed and it will still show up even though you're not subscribed. So that's a great way to get items into your feed that you need to follow up on or look at again, but you don't want to have to subscribe to all of the things Bonnie mentioned, right? Because
Yeah.
once emails start flying in there, it gets to be a lot, but maybe there's a task that you've sent to somebody else that you want to make sure that you follow up on
Mhm.
and have visibility. That's a great way to use that pin. And then to remove it, it's just as simple, or I feel like even simpler than what Bonnie did earlier. It's just removing or clicking that little push pin icon. Um, each item in your feed is going to have slightly different drop down, but they will all have the ability to pin the item
Mhm.
to your feed.
Thanks. Yeah, and also, as Jasmine was mentioning, once you put the pin in, it does give you these nice, lovely little push pins that you can either just by clicking on remove, but you do have to go back to the ellipsis to add it back. And of course, the yellow one is going to be for your feed, and then that blacked out one is going to be for your actual case, pinning to the case or the project. Also in your activity feed, you're going to see these other little call outs that have, due Friday and overdue. These are going to be only on our task items that have those due dates. So it's nice if you see things that are overdue, maybe you want to get to those right away. And that might be a filter that you use when you're looking in your due dates here, on or after or on or before. That might help you narrow those down. And we'll also look at those different filters in our tasks icon next. I definitely want to encourage everyone in your feed to just lean into the filter options. I mean, everyone's going to manage it a little differently, but ignoring it doesn't clean it up. So definitely just lean in, and best practice is to get in and to start looking at those items. And again, the thoughtfulness about who subscribed to the files. That way, not everyone is getting blasted with everything, but only those who really need to see what's going on in the cases and who's going to be managing the goings on of the case. And I do want to mention, because sometimes people may go on leave or they may have some time off, some extended time off. and their feed may not be being managed by anyone else because even if someone's coming in and they're maybe stepping in, they're working the files. I covered someone's maternity leave once for 3 months and I worked their files, but their feed wasn't being managed at all during that time. So as an admin, you can come in and there is a tool on the backside. So let me show this to you. It's going to be in those advanced tools, and you do have to have advanced permissions to be able to access it, and it's called Clear Feed. And you can come in and you can select one user's feed. I'm not going to clear anybody's, I promise. So I could come in and I could go into my own, I could go into my own, but I could also go into another team members if you have those certain permissions. And you can actually clear that feed, which is going to start them back at 0. Best practice around this is to really make it kind of like it's a big ask for this, right? You want people leaning in and actually managing their feed rather than just relying on clear feed. But for certain circumstances, it's going to be applicable. I've even, if there's a team member that it's just really gotten out of control and we're going to give them a fresh start, right? If you have 2,000 items in your feed, it's going to take you a very long time to clean that up and get it up to speed. But you're also going to be receiving new items. So how do you ever catch up, right? So sometimes it's applicable to let someone get their feed cleared and just start fresh. But definitely if someone's got time off, extended time away, maybe even if they've been on a long vacation, but definitely always make it like it's a big ask and it has to have admin approval, office manager approval, especially if it's kind of a support staff team member that maybe theirs has just gotten out of control. So definitely it's not like you want to be clearing people's feeds every week or every month. I made it sound like it was a big ask, definitely, that it wasn't just as easy as me coming back here and clearing someone's feed. But it is an option for those admin users to come in and clear the feed. All right, and just kind of getting back into our feed. Do we have any other questions about the feed before I move on? We're good?
One other note,
Yeah.
we're currently looking at the unread options. You saw Bonnie kind of click that check mark to say, hey, I got it. You'll see those items still in your recent activity. I don't remember how long they stay in here, but it looks like they kind of just hang in here. So if you do need to access them after looking at it, you could still review your recent items. If you're like, I don't want to have to go to the project and try to find it again, it'll still be there. It just won't kind of be in what you're usually looking at in a day to day.
Yeah, thanks, Jasmine. I always forget about my recent activity. I always go just to unread and try to clean it up from there. But Jasmine is right. So you have your unread options, but you also have my recent activity. And again, this is going to be your recent activity, right? So the files that you're subscribed to, whether it is a phone call log, this was cleared off before, and or if it's tasks and or other items. And you can use those filter options as well within the my recent activity. If you need to find that phone call that you logged, or if you need to find that text message that was sent out, you can do that within my recent activities. All right. Well, I'm going to pivot over to our tasks icon and kind of talk more about tasks and task management. Looks very similar, doesn't it? So when we move over to task, it's going to look very similar, but we do have different filter options and a different functionality. So this functionality is initially it's going to default to incomplete tasks that are assigned to you. These are assigned to me, and then they're going to be due on or before today. So they're either going to be due today or they're going to be due overdue. As you can see, I have those overdue callouts right on top there, and then I have the items that are due today down below. So again, that's your default, incomplete, assigned to you as the user and due on or before today. So if I clear these filters, it's going to give me a much more expansive list of a lot of team members' information, team members' tasks. So you definitely want to either keep it to yourself, or if maybe you are managing some cases, you have some support staff, there's things you need to follow up on a file to make sure that they're doing their job so you can do your job, or maybe you're in an admin position where you're kind of overseeing everyone's tasks. So this is a great place to be able to do that. This is a fairly new update from Filevine, so I'm really excited about it. I was one of those admin individuals who had to kind of manage everyone's task flows and make sure we were keeping things on track, and I had a bunch of reports. So now I can actually do some of that looking and searching and following up on right within the tasks icon and not have to navigate into my reports. You still can, and I will show you that in a moment, how you can still utilize reports for incomplete tasks, but I really like the tasks icon and these updates. So I'm going to clear that filter, and then using these filter options, again, my little tornado filter, leaning into those, I can come in and I can either narrow it down by project. So maybe I'm working on a file with a team member, this Jimi Hendrix, and I just want to apply this and see what tasks we have sitting out there. So you can see also this pulls in complete tasks. So maybe I'm going to apply another filter that just says show me the incomplete tasks. So these are going to be all the incomplete tasks for the Jimi Hendrix file, whether they're assigned to me or another team member. And wow, we need to get to work on this one. So maybe I need to narrow it down even further. Maybe I need to see tasks that are, well, let me fix that. I accidentally cleared my filters, which is a quick option to do as well. So I'm going to go back to Jimi Hendrix and complete, and then I'm going to say, show me all the ones that my teammate Danielle and I is working on to see what she needs to get completed. Oh wow, she's only got this one and it's due today. That is great. We're up to speed. So that helps me see what Danielle needed to get done on the file, and she's ordering some medical records from St. John's Hospital for me. Perfect. It's not even due, it's due today. So obviously I'm not going to ring her up. I'm going to let her get on that today. So that just gives you the way to drill down all of the tasks in a specific case or project, and also to apply that incomplete filter, and you can also drill it down by who it's assigned to. But I am going to go back to our little tornado filter, and I'm just going to go back through these options. And as you can see, they are very similar to the ones in the activity feed. So again, drilling down by project, filtering, who it's assigned to, who assigned it, right? Who assigned that? So maybe I assigned some tasks that were auto-populated and I want to navigate to those so that I can help manage those. Who created it? Who completed it, if we're looking at the completed tasks as well as incomplete, the due date on or after today, on or before today, the created date on or after, or on or before, and then also if there's any hashtags inside of your tasks that you're utilizing, you can use those as a filter option as well. But I'm going to stick with just those for Kurt's case here, and I'm going to drill that down, and it's going to show me all the tasks that are on that file. And as you can see, we've got due today, overdue, and complete. And within the tasks icon, very much like our feed, you can also change the visibility. So here's that card view, which is a little larger, a little more expansive. I can still click into that open space in there and get it to fly out to the right. I can go to a more condensed view, which is a little bit more condensed than the card view, but to me, it's a kind of a smaller card. And then we can also go into our list view. In the list view, it does show a little bit more information. I kind of like this view just because that gives me more details on the matter. So I can see what's going on. This is a hashtag demand letter. I can see if it's complete or incomplete. I can see what the due date is at a quick glance, who it's assigned to. Obviously, we had drilled down to that particular case, so I know that they're all for that case. And it's also going to give me a little snippet of the message, last activity on that matter. And then are there any replies? So this one here, you can see there may have been one reply. There's some replies going on in there, so I can see there was some back and forth conversation. So that gives me that quick kind of view on that matter. Yeah.
That visibility, I don't even know what to call it. The filtering Bonnie just did
Yeah.
is connected to the feed. So if you change it here, it's also going to change in your feed. Again, same thing. It's going to also change in the projects. The biggest view, and I guess similar to this view, you can see the completed and be able to check it off, and you can also see who it's assigned to. That middle option, you do have to click in to expand it to see that info, to like physically be able to check it off. But yeah, the other ones you can kind of check off from there. So as Bonnie mentioned, personal preference, each user can do their own thing. Nobody's going to see or know. So like people won't judge you if you like a certain view and they like a different one.
No, absolutely. And also I can come in and I can resort these columns, which is I like in the list view. So maybe there's something that's more, important to you. You want to see that last activity on the matter. You can pull it all the way over. So these can be sorted to your preference as well. Maybe you want to keep that due date. I don't know if I don't think we can, I was gonna say, I don't think we can move this icon one. It's going to show our icon for us, but I was trying. But we can move all the other columns around. And again, that's only in the list view. You do have also these quick filters on the left-hand side that are going to allow you to show all of your on or before today. You're going to be able to see all your due today items, next 7 days, and next 30 days. which is going to give you that quick visibility of what are the tasks that are due in, in your life. What do you need to get done? But just keep in mind as when we refresh, it's going to default to those that are incomplete, assigned to you, and due honor before today. I know I've repeated that several times, but so many times I've even come in and I've forgotten to clear my filters. I'm looking for something and I'm like, where is it? And then I'm like, oh, I need to clear the filters so that I can see everything and start fresh with my little tornado there. Awesome. So I did want to show you all how you can, if you still want to rely on an incomplete task report, you can. So I'm going to quickly navigate to my reports, going to and we have our lovely little terms, our hamburger. We have a tornado, we have a hamburger. So I'm going to our hamburger icon and I'm going to go down to my saved reports. And I have already created one that is Bonnie Robinson, incomplete task report. And I have it grouped by project name. So how do we do that? Well, you would have to come into your report builder first, and there are options in our report builder that give you the ability to create a list of tasks. I just allowed all of these to come through for me. So that way I had all of those items, who the author was, the project name, a link to the tasks, hashtags. You'll see all these crazy things going on. But you're going to get all that information in your report. But if you do not tell it which user to kind of narrow that criteria down to, you're going to get a pretty expansive list that is your full team's all of their tasks. You may want that, and then you may want to group by someone's name, but I like to provide a more, drilled down, more narrowed down list. So I would come into choose criteria and I would come down to this tasks right here, expand those, and this gives you all the different assigned to items. So I'm going to do assigned to a username. And this is where I added in my username. Now, keep in mind, this is your username, not your full name. So whatever your username is in the system, that's the one you want to put here. And then that's going to drill down that report for you.
And we usually recommend to folks to come up with like a standard for your names so that it's not
Yes.
like I love sunsets and people are like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to run this report for her, I can't find her name. It makes it nice and easy. You can also do contains if you're like, I'm not 100% sure,
Mhm.
but I know it at least has their first name in it or their last name. You could do contains as an option there for criteria as well.
Yeah, like Jasmine mentioned, a lot of firms, there's a lot of Johns in the world. So sometimes you'll be at John, 34 if it was auto created by Filevine. Usernames are on the whole Filevine universe, kind of where that username lives, not just within your organization. So if that contains John would be a great one. You could just say it, contains John, John's name's in there somewhere, but you can't remember the number. You could do it that way as well. Mine is easy. I'm at Bonnie, so that works out very well. And you can see it pulled all of the tasks that are assigned to me. But maybe I want to go back and I only want to see those that are incomplete, right? So I'm going to go in here and I selected completed. I know this sounds kind of backwards, but I'm going to go completed. And then when I add completed, I'm going to say no. This is also a similar function when you go into add archive files. You want to add archived and you want to select yes or no. So this is completed, no. So these are now going to be incomplete tasks. But it's still a little messy. It's still a little crazy looking. So I want to come over and group it, and I'm going to group it by project name. And now I'm drilled down and I can have a nice clean view and I can come in and I can look at one person's items that are required of me, my tasks that are incomplete. And then I love having a link in a report. It's going to link me right into that case, right into that task. And there we are. So I'm right in the case, I'm right in that task, and it took me right there from my report. You can use the task icon for the same functionality, but some people still prefer reporting, so this is the option for that report. Once you have saved your report, definitely 100% give it a unique name. I'm not going to do this because I've already created one, but back in my saved reports, I have my Bonnie Robinson incomplete task report. It's very clear what the report is and who it is for. I personally I start it so that it stays at the top of all my reports, and then I can quickly access that, and it's the same information. And then those are those quick links as well. Any questions about tasks or anything that you'd like me to expand on? No?
Nothing's come in.
Okay, thanks. All right, well, we'll hop into the calendar for a little bit and just kind of talk about how we can utilize the calendar and what are the best practices around the calendar. Well, the first thing I want to show you is This is just my calendar. It's no one else's, right? It's just my calendar. So I want to come in and the first thing I want to do is to be thoughtful about the visibility within the calendar. So each user has to share their visibility with every other team member. Some firms work in pods or groups. Maybe it's an attorney and some support staff. Maybe it's specific teams and you only need to see your team, their calendars. Maybe there's a PI practice, there's a work comp practice, and you're kind of limited to whose calendar you need to see. Some firms have full calendar visibility. It is the individual user's responsibility to go in and actually share their calendar with everyone else, and you do that under your Filevine settings. Once you have synced with either a Google Calendar or your Office 365, your Outlook calendar, you will have options to be able to add users' calendars. And again, we're going back to those usernames. You use the username to actually add the calendar's visibility, but everyone has to share their calendar with everyone else. So you will have an option in a place here to add your calendar visibility, and then it will also show you all the calendars that are shared with you. Once you have those calendars shared with you, you'll see all those names populate in a row underneath in this column here. And the nice thing is there will be different colors. They're limited to a certain number of colors, then it starts to repeat. So just keep that in mind. You may have some overlapping colors. So if John and Jill have the same color, just beware when you overlap those and you look at those dates. But you will always be in the top position and you will always have this blue color. So that will always be your calendar at the top. So you know you're in your calendar. Let's see. And then my best practice. So within each case, I'm just going to go to Kurt Cobain's case and note that there is a calendar here as well. So you're going to have a client calendar. You're also going to have a master calendar. So just like I referred to this as the master feed, I refer to this is just my preference, as my master calendar, because I know I have a client calendar as well. You can add things to your client calendar and it's going to automatically add the project because I'm inside the case to the matter for whatever I'm adding. If it's a meeting, it's going to go ahead and add that project. However, the downfall of actually adding an item to a client calendar is I don't see anyone else's calendar. It's fine if it's just I'm adding a meeting for myself and I know what my availability is, but if I don't know Jasmine's availability, I should probably go to the master calendar and check first before I add a calendar item, because I've seen this happen so many times, and then I would be able to come in, add that meeting. The only offset here is I do have to manually add the project, but the great thing is the most recent project I was in is at the very top. I can select that quickly, and then I can add the team members that I need to add. Don't forget to add yourself if you need to be part of that meeting, and then maybe Jasmine needs to be part of that meeting as well. So now, because we're going to pretend I saw Jasmine's availability and she can meet at 8 a.m., tomorrow. So we're going to go ahead and get this added to the calendar, and then we'll see that 8 a.m. meeting. And again, it's going to show on both my calendar and Jasmine's calendar because I added it to the master calendar and I added it, I checked our availability. If I added it in here, you can do that. But again, I don't have that quick visibility of someone else's calendar to be able to add or to see if they're available to meet with the individual. So that's just kind of a call out when we talk about adding things to the calendar. As I'm in the client's calendar, you probably see these items here that are done. We have a witness list due trial chain. We have an exhibit list due trial chain. What are those things? So there's some automatic tools within the program that you can actually send items or send reminders and due dates to your calendar. And I just want to call out a couple of those. So the first one is going to be a field that we can add in throughout the program called a deadline with reminders. So this is it is a field that can get added that we can add a reminder schedule to. Reminder schedules are those schedules in our advanced tools. So I'll open that up so we can have that side by side. And it's going to be along this side. And keep in mind, when you're in the advanced tools, you're going to be, these are alphabetical. So keep that in mind. And I'm just going to quickly get down. So a reminder schedule, the default, Filevine default reminder schedule is pretty aggressive, but they set us up in a good way. So you have lots of dates there to choose from, but we can also make it very tailored down and customized. So some use naming conventions like SOL. You can use just the dates, the 30, 15, 7, 1, which is going to be a reminder in 30 days, 15 days, 7 days, 1 day. before the due date. So keep that in mind. Let's do this 90-day deadline schedule. What does it look like? We've got 90 days, 60 days, 30, 10, 5, 2, 1, due date, and 1. So I think you're probably getting the gist of what's going on here. So this is going to be, you're going to get those reminders on your feed, right? Those reminders we saw on our feed with our lovely little pink bell icon that are going to remind us that this item needs to be done. So this is a 90-day deadline schedule. So these reminder schedules can be connected to this field. So in our customs editor is where we would do that. On the back side, you actually, when you're building the field, you add the reminder schedule. So this one, it might have that SOL, it might have a 90-day, whatever your firm's decided to do for the reminders leading up to the statute of limitations, is the reminder schedule you will attach to this. This due date will go on your calendar as statute of limitations do, right? And then when we come in and we click this done date, it's going to stay on your calendar with the due date, but now it will say done in parentheses rather than due. So kind of going back to the calendar there, I'll show you. Let me check that date, 7/31. I had to remind myself what date it was so I could go back in time. So there is that 7/31 statute of limitations. Obviously, we are way past July, so that's why this is kind of phantomed out a bit. But you can see it now says done, which means we can, that deadline was completed.
Bonnie, there's a couple
Yeah,
of questions.
sure.
As far as best practices go, how specific do you recommend tasks be? For example, should there be one task to request medical records or bills, or do you see more success with provider-specific tasks? At what point is it too many tasks, or should tasks essentially dummy-proof the case?
Yeah, kind of, it's hard to say like all of the above, but I think that utilizing tasks thoughtfully, and definitely let's talk about that. Utilizing tasks thoughtfully is going to be super important for you and for your team. If they have way too many tasks, we found that people just end up clearing them or they're not paying any attention to them. So you do want to be thoughtful with tasks. So the first thing I'll call out is you can add in tasks to phase changes, but you can also add them into what are called task flow buttons. As you can see right here, I'm just going to reset this one, this task flow button here. So my rule of thumb, tasks that go into your phase or phase change are those that are going to happen every time without fail when you are in that phase along the life of the case. That's kind of best practice there. You want things, if it's file setup, these steps always happen. If it's treatment, these steps always happen. Your action buttons are going to be more for those sometimes, but not always. Because you don't want people clearing tasks or NAing tasks. You want them to pay attention to the tasks that are coming in. So the first thing I would say is like, for example, and I'm just going to go with like requesting medical records since that was in the question. I've seen firms like maybe when you have a treatment or maybe demand preparation. We know when typically this is a PI case that's in the system right now. Typically when we get a case in a PI firm, they've maybe already been to the emergency room, they've got an ambulance bill, and you need to go ahead and get those records and bills on their way. So you may have some protocol set up in that initial file setup or treatment phase that has your medical record specialist or that individual who's responsible for that go ahead and get those initial medical records requested and received in. And maybe you have another one in demand preparation that's request those final records and bills. So anything that's happened in between you taking on the file and the treatment being complete. So there may be, those medical providers were added to the medical section, but we have not yet requested those medicals yet. We were waiting for the client to complete treatment. So I've seen that utilized that way as well. But I do always love a good button for like an offset. You never know. There might be you're past those phases and you find out, oh my goodness, they went to this one provider and we need to get that bill in. So you would come in and I would love to keep a button in that's just request additional medical records or that would be specific to that provider. And you can actually do that. So you can build out in the task. You can have field replacement codes and you could put, request medical bill from test hospital. And you can actually list that inside of the action button task flow button. That's what I would do, especially if you have it built out within the section. You could direct them so the person responsible for that task would see request medical records from test hospital in the Kurt Cobain file. So then they would get all of that clear language right in the task. So definitely though, being thoughtful and not overloading the tasks is going to be super helpful for your team. You don't want to just blast them with tasks. And also, if you are going to have tasks populate in a phase change, be thoughtful of that as well. If you have one that says request medical records, maybe have a follow-up that says received. And kind of just, they don't all have to populate immediately when the phase changes. They can be populated off of when another task is complete. And I think that's a big help too with the team. So maybe like team member A needs to complete something before team member B can do their task. Be thoughtful with when it populates because you don't want people pausing and then having to stop and look to see if something else was completed before then they take action on their item.
Thanks.
Hope that
Um,
helps.
there's a couple more questions.
Yeah.
Back to calendaring. If
Yeah.
you've shared calendars through Outlook, does inputting calendar items into the Filevine calendar flow through to Outlook and vice versa?
Great question. So yes, there is a cross sync that happens, which is great because anything you add to your Filevine calendar will show up on your Outlook calendar, and items that you add to your Outlook calendar will show up on your Filevine calendar. However, from being in the Filevine administration position in a previous firm, best practice is not to add client-related items to your Outlook calendar because you will not have that connected functionality of the project and the quick hyperlink to your project. You will want to add all of those items to your Filevine calendar, but then let them populate over to your Outlook calendar. And then obviously be very thoughtful about the items being added to your Outlook calendar. Firms are different and everyone utilizes the calendars a little differently, but I always think of like using the Outlook for maybe personal items and obviously Zoom links and things of that nature when you have meetings. But I like to keep the calendar in Filevine exclusive to client related matters.
And we usually recommend that you have one source of truth for events.
Mhm.
So like don't create events in Outlook or Gmail and then also create them in Filevine because you'll
Right.
likely confuse yourself and be like, okay, where did I create this from? Because that's where you have to
Mhm.
go to make any edits or adjustments to that item. So we usually recommend keeping it in one location and then just viewing the mirroring. If you're like, I've connected my Outlook calendar, but for some reason have never seen these items in there, there's a couple of things that you likely need to do. In Outlook, you're going to see in your calendar options very similar to what we're seeing on the left-hand side. You're going to
Mhm.
have one that says Filevine and the little checkbox. Once you check that, it will start to show in your Filevine calendar. The same thing here, if you like deselect Office or Google or Office 365, that will not show your Outlook calendar. If you deselect or de-highlight somebody's name, that will remove their calendar that they shared with you off of here. So just keep all of that in mind. And inside of Filevine, you do have to select for deadlines to show in order for them to show. And that's subscription based, very similar to what we saw in the food. So keep
There's all
all
my
of that
deadlines.
in mind. Yeah, there's a lot of little pieces with the calendar that like if not checked you might be like I
Mhm.
know I put these deadlines in and might start thinking you're crazy, but just check those few little things and you should be able to kind of see what you're looking for.
That's a great call out. Because as you can see, I didn't have any of my deadlines populated. And when I, there they are, they're due. Yeah, like Jasmine mentioned, you'll have all those individual names of all the calendars shared with you. And as you click on them, they will overlay onto this master calendar. Refreshes your friends. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes we need to just give it a little refresh. I always do that, especially when I add multiple names or multiple individuals' calendars. I always like to refresh just to give the system a moment to think and get all of those calendar items populated. But also in the calendar, this is a month view. Let me just kind of show you if we can narrow it down. I preference the week view. So I can kind of see on a weekly basis. It's to me, it's a little easier to read, especially if you're looking for time slots that are available for team members. And then you can toggle between the weeks by using these arrows here, and you can always quickly link back to today. But there's also the day view, which again is self-explanatory. It's just the day, today, November 19th. Or I may want to see my items in a list view. The list view is going to be for the week starting on Sunday, but it's going to give me all those calendar items for the week. And I just want to call out anytime you see this little like, it's not really blue, it's not really green, this lovely light teal, those are going to be hyperlinks. So I can quickly get into those files. I never like to leave I like to leave my tabs open. I'm one of those people who will have a lot of tabs across the top of the screen. So I always do a right click and open in a new tab. So now I'm going to hop into this Darth Vader case because there was something on the calendar and it reminded me to hop in and prep for or something. But keeping that calendar in the view that's preference, you preference is going to be helpful. Everyone's a little different. So this is a user preference as well. You have the month view, the week view, the day view, and the list view. And that's back to our month view.
Awesome. And then there is one last question that came
Yeah.
in. When running a deadlines report, will any items added in the project's calendar be populated in that report?
Not our task flow report, but a deadlines report or a
Yeah,
deadline chain.
so if you are essentially adding in an event, Filevine
Mm,
doesn't trigger that as a deadline. Deadlines are
yes.
going to be those all day events that were showing up as like there's no time specific items. Those
Hmm.
are the fields that you can be reminded about. So that's how Filevine kind of differentiates. So if you're running a deadlines report, you're only going to get those like bannered items, the things that come from those deadline with reminder fields that Bonnie showed, like your statute of
Yeah,
limitations. And then also items that you're going to add into like deadline change or the ad hoc deadline section. Those are the three kind of areas that deadlines populate from inside of Filevine.
that's a good call. Not the individual event. Sorry, my brain wasn't thinking that clearly.
You're
Um,
totally
yeah,
good.
I was like, had to think the question through a moment. So thanks for jumping in. Yeah, so deadline chains and ad hoc deadlines that Jasmine mentioned. So our ad hoc deadlines, these are where we add those one-off deadlines with the due date. So this is I'll just put a test here. And we can add a due date and a complete date as well. And then our deadline chains, which are very useful, these can be for larger items, such as if we want to add maybe a statute or like we have an end of month closing, there's a statute for breach of contract. These are going to be items that are going to populate on your calendar as well, very similar to the due done situation, but you will just be in a different location as a deadline chain. I also see firms utilizing like maybe a trial calendar in their deadline chain because we know that the trial is on this date and we know that 60 days before, 30 days before, 14 days before these things have to happen. So that's a great way to utilize a deadline chain. Those dates will go on your calendar. You will have one triggering event and then you'll be able to I don't think this one's going to have any triggering events. Yeah, we do have. So you can see the statute of limitations. We have date contract signed. We put that in and now we have the SOL date, which is a very long way away. It's 1,461 days to go until we get to that statute. I'm not sure what state that's for, but oh, it's for breach of contract, California. There we go. I was like, that is a very long statute. So that will also go on your calendar as a due and a done, but you do come into the deadline chains to add that complete date.
And the complete date and the done date work the same. So if it's
Mhm.
a deadline with reminder fields, it's going to say done. The two built-in sections, deadline chains and ad hoc deadlines, are going to say completed, but they're the same thing. You only put a date in there once that deadline has been satisfied. So it's not, oh, I went in and I added this info in. It is usually a lot of times when you've actually satisfied it. And there is another question, Bonnie. Are there plans to be able to attach documents to a calendar item? That seems to be the biggest sticking point for attorneys at my firm, preventing them from utilizing the Filevine calendar. If it's not something planned, is there a workaround you suggest, like for notices? Currently having to save the doc in Filevine, create an item in a collection section, and then create an event in Outlook and attach the notice that way.
Yeah, that's a lot of attachment. I absolutely would love to see the ability to attach documents inside of Filevine. I'm not sure what they have on their schedule, but I will tell you that the best way to get in and actually let Filevine know what you would like to see and what you would like to be edited is to come into, and I went to this little question mark here and to share your feedback. And let's just see there. I bet there's one already in here. So we'll go calendar, document. Let's see what pops up. Add file on documents to calendars and reminders. I mean, there it is, right? So I can come in and I can say, click on I want this. And I basically voted that this is something that I want to happen, that I want to be updated or upgraded. So as of right now, there is not the ability to attach a document to a calendar item. What I've done in the past, and it really depends on how your attorneys, and I think we're specifically talking about attorneys, are trained to utilize Filevine. I would personally put it in a task to them and attach it that way that maybe they could pin, or a note that they could pin, or something like that where they would have a quick access in the system, maybe in their feed or their tasks, and have the document live there for them for when they go to that meeting. That's the way the attorneys that I worked with previously, that's the way we did it. If they were responsible for this file, I could pin, like I have a big note that says like, attorney items, and then I would attach the file there, pin that matter to the top, and then they would know how to quickly get into the file and access that document. Absolutely coming up with some shortcuts for our attorneys is huge. We don't want them searching for everything. We want that, at their fingertips. But as of right now, there isn't a way to attach it to a calendar item. But hopefully soon.
Awesome. And then is there a way to automatically notify someone who's not subscribed to a project of an upcoming SOL?
Hmm. Well, they're not going to get those statute dates as far as the deadline change. You may, if you need to just alert them, there could be a couple different ways. If it's someone who manages statutes, I would create a statute report for them they can run. It can be sent to them automatically they could set up a schedule. So if we were in our report builder or saved reports, create the report, and they could set up like a digest to be able to be sent to them. So if I'm in my saved reports, and I select a report, we'll just say it's this one right here. They can come in and they can have it sent to them either weekly, monthly, or yearly. If it's weekly, what day of the week, so that they're reviewing those statutes. That's kind of like the overview if they're managing statutes. That's a great way, and so that they can see all the firm statutes in one location. I think Jasmine may have another suggestion.
Yeah, the only other thing that I could think of right now would be maybe like a task flow button, like Bonnie mentioned. You can have those assigned to a specific role, and then you can
Hmm.
have that person added into that role and press the button, and they'll get a notification for tasks regardless of their subscription status. So your tasks, kind of, I forget what you called them, Bonnie, the like main windows or panels up here for tasks.
Icons.
Um, yes.
Yeah.
Um, they'll still get tasks there even if they're not
Hmm.
subscribed to a project. So that's another option if it's one-offs, right? That makes it pretty easy. But if it's a consistent, like every single project they need to be
Hmm.
notified, I think Bonnie's route is probably better. So it gives them more of a dashboard to kind of look at. And,
Hmm.
it usually comes in an Excel when you send it via email that way. So they could easily open up that Excel and kind of work from there, which is really nice as well.
Yeah, you could add a task flow button around your key dates and info or statutes subsection that you have. If it's someone that maybe they get that, they're the only person who gets that task, they need to be notified of every single statute and every single case. You could have a task flow that's just specific to them, but you would want to make sure that task was assigned to that specific role, that specific person's role, that team member's role. You could do it that way. Or you could have it where it auto generates with maybe early on. If they're the ones who track the statutes, you could do it that way and have a task built out in a phase change that goes directly to them with some statute information. The last thing I was thinking about, I mean, you could always one off, like if it's just someone that you need to see the situation, maybe it's the attorney, you're wanting to flag them right away on something, you could come in and create a note and you can note mention them, or you could create a one off task. So if we'll just pretend like Jasmine's an attorney right now. So we're going to send this to her. SOL coming up, help. Maybe I'm wanting to tell her something. And so this is going to note mention her, but I think I'm going to convert this to a task to make sure it lands in her tasks icon and she sees it right away. So I'm going to assign this as a task to Jasmine. SOL coming up, need help. Ah, and maybe I want to attach a document here. Maybe I have a hashtag that is a call out like hashtag statute of limitations, hashtag urgent, something of that nature. You can attach that to your tasks and just have those extra call outs as well. So there's kind of some different ways to do things. It just depends on your firm and your need.
And that file attached searches through documents. So it's not like you have to then re-upload it. It searches through all the documents that you've already uploaded to Filevine. You do have the option to upload a doc there. If you do upload a doc there from your computer, it will automatically save it to the doc section. So that
Mhm.
will hopefully eliminate one of the steps that you're having to do right now. Okay, and then I don't know what FWIW is. It's an acronym for something. So my apologies there. But this
Me
is why
too.
you have to choose, do you use Filevine for calendaring or Outlook? They chose
Mhm.
Outlook as a primary because of its depth and mobile sync, etc. And then they use the project email to link it back to the project calendar. So that is an option as well. We kind of mentioned like you can do two. I usually recommend to my clients to pick one and just
Mhm.
view the other. And so in this kind of comment, so thank you for bringing it back to that, and for kind of how you all do it. Every single project has a project email that's associated with it. You can invite that person as a user, and then it will show up on your calendar. So if you did need to see it for some reason in the project, you could also do that route.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Outlook
and
has some options.
yeah. And in your calendar, just kind of reminder and kind of that best practice is keeping all of your case related items in the Filevine calendar. And like Jasmine says, source of truth, right? You don't want to create an item for one of your clients in your Filevine calendar and then also have that duplicated item in your Outlook calendar. You really want it to be one or the other. So setting some sort of firm standards is going to be helpful around that. Again, I've seen firms utilize the Outlook calendar for more of your personal items. Your attorney's going golfing, they're going to get a haircut, someone's taking some PTO, maybe they're going to add that to their Outlook calendar so it shows on Filevine calendar, but they're not going to then add it, add client related matters to the Outlook calendar and the Filevine calendar. The best practice is to keep all your client related matters in Filevine. Again, you have that quick link into the case, but if you do have Outlook matters that pop up, you will see those on your Filevine calendar as well. So if I know someone's out because they're on vacation, it's going to populate onto their Filevine calendar if they have their sync set up and they have all of their lovely boxes checked over here to the left.
Awesome. And then if you enter in a due date for something, does that automatically add it to the calendar?
When you add in, like if you're looking at your these due dates for our deadlines with reminder fields, yes, those are going to populate directly onto your calendar. So these are great and utilized. I know we utilize them throughout a lot of our best practices templates because of that functionality. And you can create unique reminder schedules for each of them, so they don't all have to have the same. A statute can have one, a discovery deadline can have another. So that's a really very kind of unique feature that we can do is actually create different reminder schedules for different items that have different due dates.
And just as a reminder, if you're like, okay, I know that I added this date in, I'm not seeing it on this
Mhm.
calendar that Bonnie keeps showing where I can see the Outlook. It's you have to be subscribed in order to see those. So
Mm,
if you're ever like, I know I added this deadline, it's on the project calendar, but when I'm going to my user calendar to see all of my items, it's not in there. You have to come in and check your subscription.
mhm,
Where Bonnie is right now in the team section, you can update your items if you're a project admin. You can kind of update the section. You can also access the ability to subscribe to a project from your vitals. So Bonnie has them open as a panel opening to the right, which is great. So yeah, just that click of that
mhm.
button and then the settings option will allow you to subscribe to the activity there as well, which should include those calendar items.
Yeah, this is a quick way if you're not already on the team as a subscribe member and you want to come in, you can come right here to your vitals panel. I like the panel on the right more than the drop down. That's just my preference. But you do have the ability to see the vitals here in this right panel or in along the top in this header. But note that this top header does not have the additional features, right? So we have the vitals, the details, and the settings in the side panel. And in that settings is where maybe you're not subscribed initially and you want to be, you can come in and you can select the subscription here. But fair warning, you're going to get all the other notifications as well. You're not just going to get those deadlines. There's right now not a way to differentiate just the deadlines or to pick and choose what you're subscribed to. You're agreeing to be subscribed to it all. So you're going to get all the text messages, all the documents, all the faxes, all the emails in your master activity feed up here in your feed icon. So just kind of proceed with caution on that. Again, if you suggestions and recommendations for updates, upgrades, new releases, come to your share your feedback and get those to Filevine. They do pay attention to that. I've seen one come to fruition that we saw for years and we're like, yes. And so if you come in and you mark that you want it, you're voting on that item and it lets Filevine know that this is what the users are wanting. It's really a great tool. I feel like it's underutilized, so I definitely want to call it out and make sure people get in there and use it. You can even come into the feedback portal. I know we have just a couple minutes. So if I go into that portal, you can come in and there's a dashboard. And I've even taken when I know it's something my team really wants, I can send this link to my whole staff and say, everyone go here and vote on this. So if you know it's something you've had your team, they've been in your ear, you've heard that they want this change or this update, I bet you it's already in this dashboard and you can come in and you can select or find that item and then you can come through and say, I want, and that's you voting on the item for potential update, upgrade, or new release.
And Filevine sends you updates. Like I
Hmm.
voted for a few things and I've gotten
Yes.
emails like, hey, we're thinking about doing this. So that's always nice to, sometimes you forget all
Absolutely.
the things that you upvote. But thank you so much, Bonnie, for all
Yeah,
of your amazing insights. Hopefully
happy to
you
be
all
here.
learned something today. If you all are like, we need help. We need help with these best
Yeah.
practices, either implementing them or really diving into what would work best for your firm. Reach out to us. We can totally help with that. We offer a wide variety of optimization plans. So, us building, us
Hmm.
training, whatever you need, we would love to be a part of your staff and help you all maximize Filevine to its fullest potential. If you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We put a lot of great videos up there as
Hmm.
well. These free help sessions, as well as shorter videos. So, definitely feel free to subscribe there. Thank you all for joining us. Hopefully, we see you in a future free help session. And again, thanks, Bonnie.
Yeah, no problem. See y'all soon. Bye.
Bye bye.